You were born to birth. You come from a long, long, long line of women who all successfully gave birth to someone who successfully gave birth. And most of these successful births happened long before the advent of modern medicine and scientific intervention. Our culture has a lot of opinions, stories, and fears around birth that frame our experiences in a certain way. So many of us feel like there might be a high probability that our bodies might not work the way we want them to, or that they should, and that we'll need extra help, and that it's going to be too hard for us. And this means that at the slightest sign of difficulty, we and the people around us can be discouraged or give up on the process just because we don't really understand it as we can do it. So that is why I think the number one thing, your number one coping strategy when you're thinking about preparing for labour is self-belief, your belief that you can do it. And this, you might have some work to do. You might need to think about what your beliefs around birth are and what your fears are. So what do you really think and feel about birth? What are you scared of and why? Is it even yours? And do some research. There's a lot of really amazing research being done at the moment, more and more, which is awesome. And let it inform your beliefs. Make some new beliefs that you really can rely on that are yours. Fear is a powerful thing. It can carry us down a river of its own making if we're not aware of it and consciously working through it. And you don't want to birth from fear. You want to birth from your actual beliefs and your actual belief that you can do it. So along with that is everyone that is in the room while you are birthing must believe that you can do it. This is your care provider, your midwife, your partner, and anybody else that you invite to your birth. And I'm mentioning this because people bring their own experiences to things. A lot of people have only seen the version of birth that is in movies and TV shows where it's all high drama, high stakes, emergency, because that's what makes a good story. And a lot of people also, unfortunately, have their own bad birth experiences where, or stories where they couldn't do it, or women that they know couldn't do it for whatever reason. And that's just not going to be helpful to you in your birth if you get to a tricky part and there's somebody there that never really thought you could do it in the first place. That's not going to be supportive to you. So that doesn't mean that your loved ones can't be there, but it does mean they might have some of their own work to do around their belief in birth and their belief in you. They don't actually even have to believe in birth, really. They just have to trust you and respect your decisions and know how to hold space for you as you work through your process. So yeah, and also having people in the room who believe in you when you don't believe in yourself is absolutely priceless. Just about everybody, no matter how confident you are in birth and your body, gets to a point where they don't think they can do it, or it feels really hard. And when you get to that point, you want a cheerleader there that's like, you can, let's go, you've got this. So the second thing that I want to talk about after your amazing self-belief that you're going to have going into birth is the space that you birth in, so your environment. So like any mammal, humans need to feel private, safe, and unobserved to give birth. And this is the environment that is really going to enable your birth hormones to flow and beautifully support your body. Anytime you are interrupted, intervened with, don't feel safe, or otherwise feel disturbed, these hormones are also going to be disturbed and they can slow down or stop, which will affect the flow and speed of your labour. So think of an animal birthing, or better yet, especially if you're pregnant, go and watch some on YouTube. Animals are birth goals. So what does private, safe, and unobserved look like for you? This is something that you're going to want to think about, because this is like coping 101. So it might look like shutting yourself in a bedroom or bathroom by yourself, and cocooning yourself in a cozy blanket, being held or stroked, by a loved one. You might need a certain amount of physical space. You might want a certain kind of energy in the room. You might want your favourite song playing on repeat, and you might want your birth attendants not watching you like you are a movie. And that can be really hard, depending on who you've got at your birth. They might need to be told this ahead of time, because birth is really exciting, and it might be the first time they've ever seen a birth. You might be doing weird things that they've never seen before, and yeah, it's I mean, even after you've been to lots of births, it's still fascinating and you want to be glued to it. So yeah, birth attendants that can kind of contain themselves and have their eyes off you is going to be really helpful to you feeling unobserved. Or you might choose to have no birth attendants, and that is totally fine too. Time. Our culture is time and progress obsessed, but birth isn't linear or time-based. Birth can take from 20 minutes to several days, and there is no real way at all to know which it will be until after the fact. So I think a good way to manage this unpredictability is to plan for it to be 3 days in your own mind. I don't know how easy this is to do, but yeah, a lot of people kind of go into it going, oh, the average is about 8 to 12 hours, so that's what I expect it to be. And I think that if you expect that and then it goes longer, it can be really disheartening, and you can feel like something's wrong, when actually all that's wrong is that is an average, not even kind of like an evidence-based average. It literally takes how long it takes. It is different for every woman. It is different for every birth. And there's something really special about the way that each baby comes in and how long it takes and all of that. That is like part of that baby's story for life. So I love the idea of just supporting that and doing what we need to do to be in the space of this takes how long it takes, even though it's really hard. And that's why we have coping strategies. Another good kind of mindset thing is to tell yourself that everything is process. If you are labouring, your baby is going to come out eventually. It will, I promise. So yeah, everything's progress. There is no such thing as I've been doing it for 3 hours and so I've only got 3 hours more, or my cervix is at 3 centimetres and that took 4 hours, so it will be at 6 centimetres in another 4 hours. Like, that's all fiction. Everything is progress. There is a million things going on in your body that are getting to the point where your baby comes out. Sometimes those things all happen in 20 minutes, and sometimes those things all happen over 3 days, or longer, depending. So longer than 3 days, or even 3 days, is not like super normal. But yeah, I really just like the 3 day thing of like, if you are planning for it to be 3 days, it is likely going to be shorter, and so you are likely not going to kind of like get fatigued. It's just like a little like mind trick that I've seen serve people really well. Stamina. So basic fatigue is the most common reason a longer labour will start to become too difficult for you to go on. And so it's good to think about how you would manage your energy if you were running a marathon. So having a plan to conserve and replenish your energy. So this means rest, especially in the earlier stages of labour. We say if you can ignore labour, do so. This is much, much easier said than done, I know that. You are excited, things are kicking off, you want to get into the work of it. But if you are in early labour and you can possibly ignore it, sleep, eat, go on with your daily tasks, that is going to be the best thing to do so that you can conserve your energy for when you really need it. Yeah, so when labour comes on, or you think labour might be coming on, just start conserving your energy. The time to work will soon come. And the other thing is later on, being open-minded about the opportunities that might exist for you to rest. So lots of weird things happen. You might be having 1 minute power naps between contractions. or your labour might slow down a little bit at a certain point, or just give you some space where you can have a little sleep. And it might not feel like it is helping. You might still feel tired and like all you want to do is sleep, but those little opportunities to rest can really, really help you to go on. So just having a mindset of, even when it's really hard and back to back, there might still be ways and places for you to rest and maintain your energy. Eating and drinking. So stay hydrated. It's like anything else that is a lot of physical exertion. You want to drink a lot of water, and have snacks and available and meals for if the birth is long. So it's actually good to like try and have a meal when you feel it coming on, so that you know that your energy's up. And then if you have a support person, this is something that can be really cool for them to do. You can put one of them in charge of reminding you to nourish yourself. They might offer you water every hour and food every few hours. But something to keep in mind with this is that you might not feel like eating. So think about whether you will want to try and force yourself to eat just to maintain your energy. And if you do, kind of how you'll do that, and have the kind of food that will be easiest to get down in that situation. So like smoothies, or your favorite fruit, or muesli bars, or trail mix, or maybe just dry crackers. We've all got something that even when we don't feel like eating, we can get down to keep ourselves alive. So that's what you are going to want to have ready for your birth. Use the bathroom regularly. A full bladder can obstruct or like get in the way of your baby's passage a little bit, and just hold things up. So making sure that you're emptying your bladder on a regular basis is a really good thing to keep in mind. So that something else people can remind you about if you need that help. And the toilet is also a great place to labour. We already feel really safe, private and unobserved in there, and our body is already used to relaxing and releasing in that position. So and you can also like shut the door and just be in there alone, no matter how many people are in your birth. So yeah, so many positive things. You can take little like tea lights in there if you want to make it a nicer space. But yeah, lots of women labour on the toilet. You would be surprised. And just on this, under the stamina topic, I also just wanted to talk a little bit about pain versus suffering. So you don't, just because you're in pain, you do not have to suffer. Like, that's not what we want in labour. Like, labour is painful for most people. It's a very, very, very intense physical experience for everybody. And for most people, that means pain. Not everybody, but for a lot of people it does. But it doesn't have to mean suffering. And suffering costs you energy that you need to birth. So again, I'm a preparation girl. Maybe a little bit of work before you get into labour, just thinking about pain. And we have this we have a cultural approach to pain that is very like, pain is bad, make it stop. And in labour, pain isn't bad, pain is good, and you actually want it to get worse. So because that pain is bringing your baby closer and closer to you, or that intensity. And something that you can do is Pam England's ice cube trick from her book Birthing from Within. So you can this is like a test to see actually where you go when you are in pain or feeling something really intense. So you can just get an ice cube and you can put it on the palm of your hand, or maybe on your wrist, which is a little bit more sensitive, and you just hold it. And no matter how cold and painful it gets, you are not allowed to drop it. And then you can observe yourself. What happens? What do you do? How do you feel? What are your instincts? And it's designed to give you a sense of how you cope with pain or intensity. And then you can practice your ways of coping before you go into labour and are dealing with real contractions. Talking about coping strategies or ways to flow with birth now, and whichever way you want to frame it, coping, flow, this is all about relaxation, rhythm and ritual. So birth, that is birth anyway. That's what's going on in your body anyways. Your body is softening, it's opening, there's a rhythm to it, and you're in a ritual, you're in your birthing ritual. So that's the energy of birth that we want to flow with, and that is going to be what helps you move things along. So the most obvious thing to use to support you in this process is your breath. I have a really beautiful friend who's a yoga teacher, and she says the breath is your constant friend, and I love that so much, especially in labour. You're in your own experience as much as connected as you are to the people in your birth, as amazing as your midwife or your doula might be. Nobody can read your mind. Nobody is in your birth experience with you. It can be a little bit isolating, and knowing that your breath is there to support you and it's right there with you, and you can use it to support what's happening, is, I find, really comforting. So with breath practices, you might have a favourite pranayama from practicing yoga or meditation. There's a lot of birth-specific breath practices that you can learn. So the other really cool thing about breath, your constant friend, is that it is the only it's something that you can both control and that is automatic. So that's really cool because it can give you a sense of control if you slow your breath down, or speed it up, or play with it in different ways, like breath practices make you do. It gives you like a little element of control, but it also connects you with what is actually happening in your body. So both of those can be really, really helpful. I would recommend learning a couple of breath practices, or even just playing with some breath practices before you go into labour, just because you don't want to be learning like really tricky breath practices in labour. Your midwife or your doula can obviously like teach you a little breath practice in labour to help with whatever's going on with you, but yeah, it's more helpful if you can learn. Actually, that applies to all these kind of ways of coping with the energy of birth. If you can practice some of them or learn them or think about them ahead of time, then they're going to be so much more supportive and there for you when you need them. Water or hydrotherapy is something that loads of people find really, really awesome in labour. So getting in the tub, getting in the shower, is really relaxing, can chill you out, can help you be in your own little world. Temperature, so extremes of hot and cold. Pain in your body works on a kind of like gate system. So if there's another really intense sensation in your body at the same time as your pain, your brain can't give focus and attention to both, so it will like divert it and kind of lessen your experience of the pain. So temperature can be a really cool thing to do this with. So hot, like a hot water bottle, or a wheat bag, or like cold, like a cold pack or ice. You might want different extremes of temperatures on different parts of your body, and that can be really nice too. And pressure is another one that is really good for this. So get a comb. You might want to hold combs in your hands, and like when your contraction comes on, squeeze them really tight, and it will hurt that tender part on your fingers, and it might make your body won't be able to focus on the sensation of the contraction as much. This isn't for everybody. A lot of people want to join that energy of birth, or like you start to drop into that pain. But while you're getting there, or if you're finding that really hard, this gate system can be a really good thing to have in your back pocket. A TENS machine works on the same principle as that. You might want scent, essential oils, especially if you're already into them and you have some favourites, or you have some that you think will be like really supportive in the birthing process for you. Touch is kind of a like want it or don't for most people, and you might not know which one you are until you're in your birth. But massage can be nice, a foot massage or a hand massage, or just someone like touching or stroking you, probably quite firmly. And between contractions, not during contractions, is probably going to be much nicer. movement, so stroking you, intimate touch, like maybe someone cupping your face or holding you in some way. And just on that note as well, sexuality as a way of joining the energy of birth or coping. Midwives say that babies get out the way they got in, and it is true. But making your birth sexual as such isn't for everybody. So, but I like to mention it because you might be a person that it really works for, and you might love it, and you might have an ecstatic birth. So being open-minded that you might want to shut yourself away with your partner for a while and do whatever. It's, connection, intimacy, it all is going to make your oxytocin flow, and oxytocin is what makes your contractions flow, and so on. So that's something that you might want to explore, and there's loads of information about that if you are interested in it and want to look it up, or just read the work of Ina May. Loads of those birth stories are about that and how that works. So check that out. Positions. The position that you are in will probably change as you cope with different things happening in your body and where your baby is and what needs to happen. So you want to be, I would recommend letting your body inform the position that you're in, because it knows. Your body is wrapped around your baby as your baby's moving down. As your baby is moving down or turning or whatever it's doing in there, you're going to need to change and be dynamic with it. So the worst position for most people, is lying on your back. It doesn't give you the assistance of gravity. It kind of blocks you from moving your body in certain ways. So if during your birth all of a sudden you want to lie down on your back, go for it. That is telling you something, but as a general rule you want to be pretty upright. You might want to be on hands and knees. You might want to be over a birth ball or draped over a counter or a chair. You might want to be hanging off something, and you can hang a rebozo or a piece of fabric over a door and you can hang off it this way. Do that on your partner. So that can be a good way to cope. Affirmations, I think affirmations work for some people and not for other people, and you probably know which one you are. This can work lots of different ways. You can write out a whole lot of affirmations that you want to, or prayers, or however you want to frame that. Things you want to remind yourself in birth, or mindsets, or encouragements to yourself, and you might want to bring those into the birth with you. I've done mother blessings where I'll get the woman's friends and family that attend the mother blessing to each write an affirmation from themselves to encourage her, and we'll put it on prayer flags, or we'll make a poster, and then the woman can actually take that into her birth with her. And I really love that because not only does she get these beautiful, supportive, encouraging affirmations, but she also gets the energy and love and support of all of those women and that moment of the mother blessing in the room with her while she's labouring. And some people really love that. Music. Make a birth playlist, or you might want a certain song on repeat. You might want kirtan or chanting. You might want to sing. You might want to sing with your birth team. You might want to sing the baby out. Lots of different ways to use music. And movement and dancing, same thing. Dancing or moving your body really helps you stay in that rhythm. And I'm a belly dancer, and I started belly dancing before I got into birth work, and I am always amazed that the exact same ways that women naturally move their hips or sway or when they're birthing is all the same movements that belly dancing is based on. So you might want to hip circle or shimmy, or all of those are great for labour. Meditation and things like hypnobirthing. So again, this is something that you might want to learn ahead of time. There's a lot of birth-specific meditation out there that you can find out about and learn, and then it's there for you if you need it, or you might have an existing meditation practice. You might just already know how to drop in You might be able to find a place inside yourself like really easily that will help you cope better with labour. So that is a really cool thing to keep in mind or have there. And visualisation. So some visualisation works amazing for some people and doesn't work at all for other people, but you might want to visualise a boat rowing across a lake really slowly right through a contraction, so you've got something to focus on, and then when it gets to the other side your contraction finishes and you wait for the next one and then you row the boat again. Or you might want to get a little bit more specific, like it might be like a flower opening. You might want to visualize your actual cervix opening and like your body going through the changes that it's going through. You might want to visualize your baby or like your family, or just that is really, really personal, the kind of visualization that is going to work for you. And I bet if you just think about it and you want to do visualization, one will just come to you. And the last thing that I just wanted to mention when it comes to coping is using your voice. You are the boss of your birth. This is your experience, and one of the best ways to take charge is to use your voice. Like I mentioned before, nobody else is in your head or in your experience, and no matter how amazing they are not mind readers. And you might need to tell people what to do, or stop doing something, or start doing something. So creating an environment for yourself and the people where you can speak up. And I know that this is easier for some people than for others, which is why I'm mentioning it. Some people have no problem using their voice to change the situation around them. But a lot of people really, even in birth, can be much more concerned about other people's feelings, or, being out of line or whatever. And it can stop them from speaking up and really getting what they need. Like, birth is about you, your birth is about you, and everybody is there for you. So tell those people what to do if you can. Another way to use your voice is to moan, growl, vocalize. The lower the better. So the lower in your body, so having a voice that comes from your belly, or low in your body, or low in your throat, and deep. That is going to be a really good way to like release what's going on and keep your body nice and relaxed and flowing. And then also on the opposite note, silence, if that's what feels right. So some people really like silence and want to be quiet in their birth and want other people to be quiet. And so that's why I mentioned using your voice. You might want people to shut up. Sometimes people are pretty chatty in birth, especially if it's their day job. So, or they've never been to a birth before and they're just talking about whatever, like it's long. People talk, and you might not want that. So if you might not want that, it is a good thing to talk about ahead of time, like with your care provider, like your midwife, and with your partner and anyone else that's going to be there. Or feel free to tell people to be quiet in the birth, and you might give yourself permission to do that just by being like, I might want silence in birth. I hope it won't hurt your feelings if I tell you to be quiet. And so mostly I'm just saying this so that even if you have no conversations with anybody, I just want you to feel really free, like you've got full permission to say whatever you need to say to get what you need in your birth. That's what it's all about. And so I'll just end by saying that you can do it. Birth can't be stronger than you because it is you. You are strong and wise, and you were made for this, and I believe in you.